Tech. Should that be the banner on the back?
I don't think so. That's not.
Turn the dial, turn it loud. Miami's pride, make us proud. CanesWear crew, you hear the crowd. Hurricanes ain't backing down. Every play, every score. Raising bets and raising roar. Rocking orange, green galore. All for one and one for four. We got FTSN, taking names, win it again. Podcast fam, till the end. Tune in, now let's begin.
Hello and welcome to the CanesWear Podcast on the FTSN network. And we have a star-studded panel tonight. We are excited to have everybody on. It's a great game to follow up. If anyone didn't know, and you're a Cane fan out there, we played Cal this weekend, and we did win the game. And I'm sure during the game, every fan out there was saying, "We got this in the bag." Even when we were down 25 points with less than 20 minutes to go, we all knew that there was going to be a piece of cake and we were going to win this one at the end of the game. So today I've got my co-host Brad Tehed on the line.
Yes,
we got
sir.
Uncle Cliff. We're going to
What's
have
up, guys?
joining us soon. And we've got a special guest. We got Gio Million in the house as well, and we're excited to have him. So we're going to be talking about the big game, and I'll just start us off with down 25 points. With less than 20 minutes to go, do we have any chance? Even if we score, are we going to be able to hold them? It didn't seem like we held them all game. It was hard to imagine when I saw they had two third down conversions. It seemed like they were dominating the game all the time, but in the end, everything seemed to go our way in the yardage and obviously on the scoreboard. So. Just an amazing game, an amazing comeback. Cam Ward was not a spectacular, perfect game throughout, but those are the games you need to win and be a champion. Every game's not going to be easy. There's going to be some adversity, and we got to respect that from this team. So I have to not be the only person out there that thinks that maybe, by some chance, just maybe, the team from last year or the year before, maybe we don't win this game. I mean, I can't be the only person thinking that. So what do you guys think?
No, I completely agree, Brett. I mean, team no sleep for all the fans that stayed up and watched this game. And, of course, the staff, the players, and all the great fans that made that road trip to Cali, right? I mean, there were so much things that added up to this football game, right? Like first time ever college game day going to Cal, right? Why out of all places would they go to Cal now going against a top 10 team, Miami, where you look at the statistical stats and Cal was 1-25 going into this game against top 10 opponents. So they're not known to being, a team that could upset a top 10 team. But of course, everything built up to this game just because it was the University of Miami, right? You see when we start to come back on top, you see previous college game days in the past when we had Malik Rozier at quarterback and company. We had, I think, 2 or 3, if I'm not mistaken, college game days that season. So it doesn't surprise me that all the anticipation and hype behind this game happened. But again, to your testament, adversity, right? You saw a little adversity that we had to overcome against South Florida and Tampa, first time ever trailing in one quarter. Come back, we never trail ever after that game. You go into the Virginia Tech game last weekend, you're trailing from the second quarter all the way to the last play of the game, right? Crazy catch at the end. Call goes our way, which it should have. And then again, leading up to this game, more calls went different ways. Got to the last play of the game again, and man, you were tuned into the live as well when we had Malik Rozier on, and I think we all felt, even going into that third quarter, we knew because we had Cam Ward and the way our adjustments were made specifically in that fourth quarter, every single game this year on the defense, we had a chance to win, and we did.
I agree 100%. I don't think you could have put it into any better words. I think the other thing just about that California game, I don't think any other quarterback, at least within the last 20 years, give or take, can lead Miami to a comeback like that, being down 35-10. Just Cam Ward. I said this earlier on Comics on Canes with Michael Yo earlier in the day today. I told him, I said, I think Cam Ward plays even better when he's mad. I'm totally
Great
convinced when
point.
he gets pissed off and things are going
Exactly.
wrong, he turns it up a whole other level. And this is what the NFL teams look for. And this is what specifically Miami looked for when they were watching his tape when he was at Washington State. They were looking to see how does he respond to adversity, because they've had quarterbacks in the past that the moment they see the first sign of adversity, they buckle. So kudos to Cam Ward. Kudos to the defense holding down Cal to only 3 points within those last 18 minutes, give or so, of game time. And kudos to Xavier Restrepo, moving into first all-time for 100-yard
Amazing.
in program history.
That's phenomenal. You know, Xavier came here. I had him in the store as a freshman, him and Mike Harley. Mike Harley was going to be the all-time leading receiver that year. And Xavier was as a freshman. I started off slow, but the kid just has the it factor, and that's what you need. And hopefully he and Cam and the rest of our awesome team lead us to our best year in a long time. And Xavier is someone that that's going to play on Sundays. And a lot of people may have said at the beginning, no way will this guy have a chance. And his dad would tell me, I think he can be a 3rd round pick, 4th round pick. And I'm thinking now who knows? Any team that gets him is going to get a bargain wherever they get him, because he's going to give 100%. He's a leader.
Yeah. Cliff, how are we feeling?
I feel like you guys said it best. Like I said, I feel like the South Florida game was here, and then the Virginia game was a little bit higher, and then this game was just like the ultimate. Like, it's incredible what these last 3 games have done. It's kind of like built this up. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't like the games like this because it's not good for my heart. I'm getting older, but it's just crazy how this team just fights and fights and fights. And like Gio said, the last I don't know how many years, 20 years or so, no quarterback was going to do anything like this. This is incredible. To be honest with you, I don't know if any other quarterback in the whole nation could do what he did the last couple games.
And I think people need to realize too, with this Cam Ward thing, right? There's still fans and of course NFL experts out there that are still nitpicking little things about Cam Ward's game, which in all reality, right, nobody's perfect, and we're seeing that each and every game. That as good as Cam Ward has been playing, he has yet to have that perfect game yet.
Correct.
But you also got to take into consideration some of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, aka Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers. These guys make mistakes as well. But you got to take some to lose some, and the risk is so much bigger than the little things that, of course, you're going to nitpick. But at the end of the day, like I mentioned before, the scariest thing in college football right now is Cam Ward with the ball last. There's nothing more scarier than that, and there's a reason why. There's a guy that accounted for 277 yards just in the 4th quarter alone against Cal.
Wow,
higher than Florida State quarterback all game this season.
I'll tell you this much. So he told the post-game interviewer, he said that Coach Dawson spoke to him right before they were going into that 4th quarter, and Cam Ward said, Coach Dawson told me that this is how Tom Brady made his money in the league, that he won these games coming from behind and making those big plays. But the other thing that I'll mention just overall too, and I like that Brad touched on this subject about Aaron Rodgers and some of these other big time quarterbacks that we've seen in the National Football League over the last 15 to 20 years, is that gunslinger mentality. And I know fans get upset if a quarterback throws an interception, but you know what? Cam Ward is that type of quarterback that even if he does throw an interception or two, you're not out of that game. You're not out of that game because his mentality is a winner's mentality, and he will make the big plays. So, I mean, the guy's incredible. If you ask me personally, I know we're only halfway through the season, but if he's in New York in December for that Heisman Trophy announcement, that California game will be one of the most defining moments for his Heisman campaign.
Well, absolutely. And with adversity, it comes opportunity. And not only that, Virginia Tech as well. When they're down like that and they come bring the team back, because we were down in the Virginia Tech game also. But Cam, you're right. Great point, Gio. It's like he gets mad. He turns it up another level. It's almost like Popeye when he's got his spinach, or something like that. He just something about him that and his dad told me, his dad said, Cam has always, since he's a little kid, learned to play to the clock was zero. He never gave up. A lot of quarterbacks will give up. A lot of quarterbacks play much better from the lead than behind. For example, I heard, I think it was today or yesterday, I heard that Brock Purdy in the fourth quarter when he's winning, his QB rating is like 130, which is great. But when he's losing, it's about 65. Cam, when he's losing, is a machine. I mean, in every single game we played this year, if we've won it or we won it, if we won it from coming from behind or won it from being ahead, we have dominated the second half. We've outscored the team in the second half. The Gators, USF, every game we've done that. Obviously, Virginia Tech and Cal. So Cam is just something special. You see that he's upset. Just got to give an opportunity. I did not know what you just said before about that. Was awesome that I hear that, because you know what? And you need that. And he said this is the most prepared he's ever been at the beginning of the season, right? He said this is the most prepared. So I'm glad to hear that. So that's awesome.
I remember one thing too, the last, I don't know how many years, but we'd play pretty well in the first half, and then the other teams would make adjustments. We come out and play like crap the second half because we didn't really do much at halftime. Now this year, the coaching staff is making adjustments, and our second halves are a lot better than the first halves. Especially, I mean, I know we gave up a lot of defense, big plays on defense, but look, the second half was much, much better. I mean, 29 to 3, the last 18 minutes, like Gio said, 18, 19 minutes, we outscored them 29 to 3. I mean, shit, give up 3 points. Take that all day with this offense. And
Canes teams in the past are like that. We never give up.
I got to give a commendation to Mario, because he mentioned before the season that they brought in a time management coach. So that second to last drive that California was on, and then the whole controversial targeting. Look, it was a clean hit. Okay, he led with his shoulder. The guy lowered his head as he was a runner. He was not a defenseless player. People, at least the national media and just fans of other programs around the country that hate Miami, go look at the targeting rules. It was not targeting. But on that last drive there, and I questioned it at first. I'm like, why would they not call timeout when you had 3 minutes on the clock? And then I thought about it afterwards. I'm like, no. I realized I'm the one in the wrong, actually. They didn't call the timeout. They got down to the 2-minute warning. They got him off the field with a 3-and-out. And they called the timeout right after getting the punt back. They had roughly just a little under 2 minutes to work with, and they cut down that clock. The big pass to Xavier Restrepo, 77 yards, which was, I'll be honest here, if Sam Brown doesn't get in his way, that thing is probably going for I would say, let's see, they were at the 8-yard line, right? Yeah. That's going for a 92-yard touchdown. And now it's just incredible. Like, big time commendation to whoever the time management coach is, unless coach is lying and he just did some studying over the offseason and realized that, hey, I got to work on my time management. Big kudos to Mario on that.
I think my bad. One thing that gets overlooked in that series that you're talking about too, Gio, is Fernando Mendoza. That targeting hit that was questionably, that was a timeout that Miami was going to use, but because Mendoza got injured, right, and was on the ground for longer than a couple seconds, they actually used that as an injury timeout, and that saved Miami from actually using one of those timeouts as well. So that part of that sequence definitely did help Miami as well. And, there were some other things throughout the football game. I don't want to bring up the Virginia Tech last play, but there was many plays throughout not only that game, but this game where there was calls that didn't go our way as well, that we really could have benefited as well. The obvious, running back touchdown from Jaden Ott that was clearly out of bounds. And, of course, in college football, every touchdown should be reviewed.
Exactly. They didn't review that at all. He was clearly out.
Yeah. But, I mean, hey, guys, like we mentioned before, I mean, at the end of the day, this is a team that in years past, even last year, you saw with the Georgia Tech game, we don't win these close games. And the fact that we continue to have that grit, the mentality to kind of dig deep. And when everything is our back against the wall, that's when we play our best, it seems like so far. And I really love that. And we just continue to get better. And I mean, look, at the end of the day, could our defense have played better? Yes. Could our offense and Cam Ward maybe had a lot more checkdowns instead of having those big plays, especially early in the first half that really got us in a hole? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, we got the W. And you see with Ole Miss, with Alabama, with Tennessee and others, it is very hard to win every single weekend in college football. And the fact that we continue to do that, that is the biggest accomplishment right now. So you got to enjoy this. And going back to the adjustments, right? Lance Guidry, he played a lot of man that first half. You saw in that second half, he switched to a zone, and that really helped us a lot on the back end on that defense and really shutting down that offense for Cal. And when you really look at it statistically, most of their plays were off of big play opportunities. We almost doubled the amount of plays throughout the football game. They had 49. I think we had 86, if I'm not mistaken. And I mean, when you look at it, at the end of the day, through 6 games, this team is number 1 in total offense, number 1 in passing yards, and 2nd in the country in points per game. And our defense is number 17th in the country and 2nd in interceptions. Gotta love it.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. Just want to touch one point. I think we are playing the result. So when we were live that night, or Brad was live, and I was watching and just typing in, I thought, like many, that was a big mistake. If you play the result now, Gio, I agree. It turned out great because it's a genius. You know, we held them. They didn't get a first down. And if we would have scored too soon, they would have had maybe a full 2 minutes to go ahead and score, which is 100% correct.
All they needed was a field.
But when you have that much time left, and the 2-minute warning is brand new in college football, so it's brand new. So you got to say, okay, whoever they brought in, if they had no pro football experience, they really NFL coaches make those mistakes. But we had an opportunity to call 1 or 2 timeouts and get the ball back. Because that 2-minute warning, if you let it run all the way down to 2 minutes, you're going to go ahead. We basically lost all that time. When we're on offense, obviously the clock stops on a first down. So I thought it would have been better calling a timeout. That being said, it worked out in our favor, and we got lucky in that respect. But no matter what, my dad would always say, the good teams find a way to win. And for so many years, there you go. For so many years, we have not been the good team. And if you would have told any of us last year how from that Georgia Tech game on, where our offense completely disappeared with no play actions, didn't show up maybe until Louisville again, but still was not clicking. If you would have said we'd be the number 1 score, you'd be the number 1 team in so many categories, you'd say no bleeping way, no matter who our quarterback is, no matter Mario's not going to be able to have the number 1 offense in college football, not even number 10. I mean, if we're in the top 50, I would have been surprised, but I am pleasantly surprised. And he's doing an amazing job. And anyone that knocked him before is obviously hopefully saying, you know, give him time. They did. And Brad said it from the beginning, Mario is going to bring us something special.
Yeah, there's 2 things. Go ahead.
By the way, for all the listeners out there, you see this pen right here from CanesWear. So just a little note about this. $5 at CanesWear, 100% of the proceeds go to the Dolphins Cancer Challenge. It's going for a very great cause. Brett is doing a very great thing at the shop. I just stopped by today. Brett's got a ton of Cam Ward jerseys. I know you're all big Cam Ward fans. Any Canes fans that are listening to this show right now, make sure you to go get your jerseys. I know Brett told me a little hint today as well, too. Some children's Cam Ward jerseys will be arriving soon, so get some for your little ones as well. And the second thing I will bring up, Mario Cristobal said on Monday on Joe Rose's show on 560 WQAM, right around 6:30 in the morning, he shared that for the second time, he said it this season, conference football is playoff football. Mm-hmm. Everyone is in a do or die position week in and week out. It is survive and advance. And we've seen this every year in college football. Many upsets happen. Top 10 teams go down. Top 25 teams go down. Like Brett said, good teams find a way to win. It doesn't, you know what? Like Cam Ward said after the game, an ugly win is better than a pretty loss.
Absolutely.
It really is.
100%. And you hear too many people say, we didn't deserve to win. It doesn't matter. I'd rather not deserve to win and win. We did deserve to win, by the way, than deserve to win and be ripped off and lose. We dominated that game. Penn State, we dominated. Vinny, if he didn't throw those 5 touchdowns, you guys weren't born yet probably, but if he didn't throw those 5 touchdowns, we would have, you know what, 5 interceptions.
5 interceptions.
He would have just handed off to Alonzo. We dominated. We were the better team. They got the win. They got the national championship. It's survival is all that matters. At the end of the game, I don't care how you played. If you're the team with a higher score, you're the champions. You're the better team, and that's all that matters. There is no such thing as winning ugly. It is a win. 1-0, 2-0, 3-0. Let's count them down. What 16-0 is what we want to go this year, guys? 16 or 15? Yeah. 16, right? So yeah.
16-0 is a national championship.
1 point or 100 points, it's a win.
It doesn't matter. And this team learns from adversity when we win by 1 point.
And bringing up undefeated teams, right? I mean, I want people to also realize one of the stigmas around the Miami Hurricane football program from rivals and other teams that just hate to see Miami succeed and win each week is either the refs are giving you the game, Cam Ward has to throw for 50-plus attempts, or, of course, the one that is always there is your strength of schedule. You don't play anybody. Well, guess what? We talk about how hard it is to remain unbeaten every single week. Mm-hmm. There's only 5 or 6 unbeaten teams right now, and guess who has the strongest record out of all those? It's the University of Miami.
Absolutely.
Strength of the schedule, the University of Miami has the hardest one out of the remaining unbeaten teams. And while we are having fun on this bye week, we will be going into next week as a top 5 team just because, one of the top 5 teams will be losing.
Absolutely. And you know what? There's no gimmies. We saw Vanderbilt in Alabama. The same Vanderbilt team that we were all saying, Virginia Tech, how can they give us a game? They went to overtime and lost to Vanderbilt. Well, you know what? Vanderbilt just beat Alabama. Yeah. So it's every single week. Penn State could have lost. If we would have lost, it would have been the most losses in AP history. 6 out of the top 11 would have lost. So 5 of the top 11 lost before our game, which is spectacular. So every game is tough. And considering going to Cal, midnight, I mean, we're basically playing at 10:30. They've got no air conditioner in our locker room. You guys can discuss that, okay? No air conditioner. The wonderful people out there in Northern California that love everybody are throwing bottles at our players and throwing things like that. Definitely, it was a difficult situation for the kids to go out. The furthest traveling in the country, in a conference game for that matter, we got to travel all the way across the country. A little bit further than a little bit less than the Panthers had to go to Edmonton last year in the championship. But so guys, what do you think about that? The heat in the locker room. Mario's talked about that. Do you think that affects the team? Do you think it doesn't? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think Mario was pissed about it because he definitely brought it up again on Monday. From what I heard from the game, actually, the locker room, on top of just being overly hot, heard it also smelled really bad in there. It seemed like the old high school joke that your rival would do, that they'll say, oh, yeah, the AC is not working and it smells awful in the locker room and everything. So Mario and the coaching staff got really wise. They said, you know what? The Cal officials weren't doing anything about it. They said, you know what? We're going to take some of the cooling zones from their sideline and we're going to pull it into our locker room. Now, I will say, California fans, California Golden Bear fans, the Calgorithm, whatever you guys call yourselves, wait until you come to South Florida having that type of hospitality, because South Florida does not play around.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think it was a great advantage to us to play at that time. 10:30 at night, 7:30 national TV. By the way, the biggest TV audience this year, right, or in a full season for a night game like that at 10:30 Eastern.
Yes.
And that's great for recruiting, because Miami is starting to, obviously, with the amount of people that are hating on us, like we got lucky against Virginia Tech. They gave us a bad call. Forget the ball was rolling on the floor. Touch the guy while he's out of bounds. The targeting. Forget anything else, okay? It's that we came back from 25 down. The amount of hate on Miami is like we've been terrible for how many years? I mean, we have one bowl game in the last 20 years almost.
Yeah.
2006, we won a bowl game. 2017, we won a bowl game. I don't know if there's a team that's worse. 10 games once in that time. And everyone's like hating Miami, like we've always gotten all the breaks. So this is great.
We have rival fan bases joining up forces against us.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
That's wild.
Yeah,
that's
wild. And we've been bad, which is why the ACC should get it together right now. Say, Notre Dame, if you want to be part of the spectacular, Miami is back, baby. We need to sign and get ESPN to say, you know what? Let's rip up that $17 million a year and give us a SEC money of $50 million or $60 million a team and keep this conference going strong. Because if Miami's back, I mean, we are a premier team in the NCAA. So they've got to take advantage of that, get Notre Dame in. If they need this group here to run the ACC, we're glad to do it on our part-time.
Dolphin Derek.
The proof is in the pudding, Brett. You look at the TV ratings, the Miami-Florida game was the most watched early afternoon game for week 1 of college football in over 7 years. Wow. The Virginia Tech game was the most watched Friday night game in 6 years. And then that Miami-Cal game, the most watched late night game this season. Miami does TV ratings, whether people love them or hate them. Well, I know a lot of people hate Miami. They are praying week in and week out that Miami loses so they could turn around and say, you see, the Candy Canes are not back. That's what they're waiting to say.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Great point. They're wanting to do the upside down. Get something new besides this upside down U. I mean, really, it's old, but you're right. They do. And that's what makes us even bigger. And that's what's going to make star quality kids want to come to this team. I mean, they're going to want to come because they want to be part of that. We're not going to be buried on the ACC network soon, where you can't find us unless you have like a, those rabbit ears in the old days to get a TV station on something. You got to go like our game's playing 1 minute, the next minute you're on ESPN, the Ocho or something like that. We can't find us, and half the people can't find the game because they changed the game. So hopefully we're not going to be in that situation much longer.
There's three things.
Obviously, recruiting wise, we got Gio on. Well, I want to discuss some recruiting. If you haven't been under a rock the last few hours, Miami just flipped a nice commitment from wide receiver from West Broward and Joshua Moore, who was recently committed to Florida. You talk about rivals hating us. I mean, this is just the beginning. You guys know Mario Cristobal, when the loafers get to stepping, there's nobody that's going to be able to stop him, right? And timing is everything, whether it's how we come back in the fourth quarter, making the adjustments, or the timing of recruiting and using the ways and the areas that you're going to play football. You also use those to benefit your recruiting. And this is something, an opportunity. Mario is very familiar with the California area going back to Oregon. And I was told that this staff actually stayed longer than the team, some of them, to kind of, do their due diligence on some recruiting guys in that area. So, great. Kudos to the staff and Mario to, again, timing everything to where after winning a big game like Cal, you still use your resources, get to some of the guys in the area to kind of shake hands with and figure out what you want to do with. And then at the same time, you turn around on this bye week and you land a big-time target from your rival, the Florida Gators, and Joshua Moore. And I want to talk to Gio not only about Josh, but there's also a couple other Gator targets that are currently committed over there that I believe Miami's going to be working on flipping along with some other big-time names.
Yeah, of course. Joshua Moore is a big-time get for them. Miami's been recruiting him for well over 2 years. Kids taking a ton of game day visits, campus visits to Miami. Some were actually taken a little back and surprised that he committed to Florida back in June. It was a little shocking back then. Miami stayed persistent. They were on him. They called him up after that Miami-Florida game. He was back down there for a campus visit the Monday after that 41-17 beatdown in Canesville. And look, they've worked their tails off to get in this one. They pulled him. They're going after Ben Hanks, 4-star cornerback, who's a Florida legacy, by the way. Miami is not gun shy when it comes to these kids that their daddy or their daddy's uncle went to the University of Florida. They don't care. They're going to go after these kids. So Miami's in a really good spot with Ben Hanks. Georgia also battling in there as well to take him away from Florida. And Miami's all in on 4-star wide receiver Vernell Brown, who's arguably the best slot wide receiver in the entire country. Very, very tough pull there, but Miami's in it for the long haul until signing day. And I will mention, though, these next 7 to 8 weeks, Canes fans, This is going to be a whirlwind of fun, of breaking news, of flips. Miami, they're about to do something very incredible. They continue winning. That momentum is going to continue rising. And they're changing the perception. The perception in South Florida has always been that, Miami, it's not a school to go to. They don't develop guys. That perception is changing very, very quickly.
Since you're talking about recruiting, what receivers are we losing that these guys? Because we're going to lose a few guys. We're losing X. We're losing George probably, right? He's a senior right now.
He's a junior. He could play another year if he wanted to.
George has 1 more year of eligibility if he wants it.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
Same thing with Sam Brown.
He's done this year. He didn't get the COVID year.
He didn't get the COVID year?
No. He didn't get the COVID year. He came in with the 2021 group with James Williams and Cam Kinchins and all those guys.
What's up, Mondo?
Mondo, what's up?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Oh, good. Thanks for that, Gio, because I didn't realize.
I thought he had 1 more year.
Hey, it's the selfie god. How are you doing, Mondo?
Hey,
you look very tiny on my screen, but I see you.
I must have a small camera here. What's
Guys,
going on,
doesn't
guys?
matter here, Mondo.
Hey-o. What's up, guys?
So, Mondo, we've been covering. We got into the recruiting, but we'll backtrack for a minute and let's get your thoughts. Don't know if you heard, but the Canes won late game heroics from Cam and Xavier and company. And what were your thoughts in the game? And tell us you weren't nervous at all, because I know you weren't.
I've never had my neighbors call the police at 2:30 in the morning due to loud noise at my house, so we'll start with that. And then, well, I mean, just when you think you could, I'm sure you guys covered it already, but I was at the game the week prior, and I didn't think anything could top that. And then we're down 35-10. Obviously, he threw that pick across the field, and we all, as Kane, we're like, oh, I mean, we're like, here, of course, the chats, the DMs, the texts, here we go again, same old Miami. And then somehow, some way, they hold them to 3 points the rest of the way and outscore them, 30 or 25? Just insanity. Like, you couldn't, just insane.
So, Mondo, I got to ask you, because I know you got a wife and kids just like me, my man. Was there any time that your wife walked out to the living room, she said, "You're still up? You're watching this game?"
I will say this, and I don't know if it's coincidental with the turnaround of the team. She is, unlike myself, she is not really a big sports fan at all. But 2 to 3 weeks ago at the stadium, she looked over me and goes, because we have 2 season tickets, she's like, "We should get 4 next year, because I'm tired of having to play musical chairs and all that." So that's the Canes craze right there. Okay. So she watched the whole second half. And when I tell you that she's really not into it, she was jumping off the couch herself, which is crazy. So everybody's hyped up. She never told me to be quiet once, because she knows this is bleed orange and green. But I'm sure all of you on here and everybody watching, it was just all-timer.
Listen,
it really was all-timer.
It was hyped as you can get, man. Malik, we had Malik on the show, and he ended up jumping in the pool after we got the win. So that was awesome stuff, man.
I got a good question for you guys on the panel. So, where would you rank this comeback victory amongst all the comeback victories that happen? Because there's been some good ones recently. You go back to that 2017 Malik to Daryl Langham to break the Florida State streak, or you go back to the Nkosi Perry game the year after in Hard Rock.
That was amazing.
27-7, and just the offense just starts firing on all cylinders. Or you go way back, talking about that Brock Berlin game in Florida. Or 1988 Michigan, Steve Walsh. I mean, I wasn't born at the time, but I'm a big Canes historian.
You throwing it back.
I was 12 years old at that point.
The 88. Then that was amazing, that game.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'll just say this. I mean, not to sound like a recency bias, because it's the most recent one, but think of everything on the line, though. They just had granted it's an away stadium, but they had game day there. They interview Mario. You had a Cam Ward feature. If we get blown out by 20, 30 points, you see, all that talk in the preseason, the whole night, because I go on those Josh Pay chats on Sunday night. and you jump in there as a Miami fan, they're like, oh, yeah, Miami, yeah. But now it's the referees. Now it's the refs.
Yep.
The last 2 or 3 years, we sucked.
Yep.
Now it's the refs. So go
Exactly.
figure. But I think this one down, I mean, I can't say it enough. It's the middle of the third quarter on the road.
Yep.
Our defense is getting pretty much housed at that moment. 35-10.
No.
Think of everything that has to go right. They converted numerous fourth down plays.
Exactly. That was amazing. The amount of fourth down plays.
Everybody forgets that, but they want to just harp on the Bassett hit at the end. They converted numerous fourth down plays, 92-yard drive to win the game.
No.
Mondo, I got a good question for you, actually. So I know you're in one of these group chats with me that I think there's like over 100 people in there. I'm talking about this is the wildest Canes group chat. You're talking about
Gio, I'm in that too. That is insane, by the way.
Yes. So you got sports betting going on.
Yeah.
Oh, God,
You got
yes.
politics. You got women being posted. I'm talking about like gory events, like world, like everything goes in that
Crazy chat.
Movie.
So I'm telling everyone in there, I'm like, all right, I'm calculating the time and everything and just roughly how everything would work. And I said, guys, there's still a chance that Miami could come back in this game. And everyone's like, no, Gio, you're crazy. Turn off the game already. No way. Miami's not going to come back. And I went back in that chat when the game was over, and I said, a lot of people owe me apologies here because I never gave up in the Miami Magic. There is real magic in Miami.
And that is, I can kind of cliffs on there, Brad. I can corroborate. When Gio posted that, you all know I'm pretty much the most positive cat you'll meet. I might have muttered to myself, this motherfucker's crazy.
I really thought we could come back and win. I thought we could figure it out. For some reason, Cam just had that. I really felt the whole time that we can come back and win.
And this is why back to Gio's question, especially recent, right? You talk about the Duke lateral was another crazy win and some of these other ones, but all those other comeback victories, it didn't feel like it was real, right? And it was almost like, oh, okay, like we got lucky. This was the first time, in my opinion, that even though we were down, all the chips were stacked against us that third quarter. Even then, like I wasn't at the game, but I know a bunch of people that were there. And then just me watching it live, there was just this feeling, like just talking about it, you get the goosebumps, almost similar to that picture of Mario in the locker room, being held up. Everyone got this feeling where it's like, this is different. Like we are going to come back in this game and we are going to win. And I think that alone, being able to have that feeling for once and being able to not be let down in a big time game and opportunity and seeing it happen yet again, back-to-back weeks. This isn't lucky anymore. This is a new Miami team that when we battle adversity, and again, like I said, when our back is against the wall and we actually see that we're down and we just need to start floating, we're there. I mean, we make all the right moves on offense and defense when we need it the most. And that you got to give credit to the staff and this team for that.
Oh, absolutely. If we ever down in any game versus anybody for the rest of the year, these guys are never going to second guess it. Oh shit, we got this. We already did this 2 or 3 other games, and no one's going to be hanging their head. Everyone's going to be like, we got this. We've done it before. You know what I'm saying? Like Mission Impossible.
That photo that Gio posted, I think, post-game of them carrying Mario, that's an iconic photo. It really is. And it just speaks to...
That's an all-time photo.
Man.
That's an all-timer. And if you look...
Photo. That's like a Jimmy Johnson being carried off the field when we won.
Yeah.
My thought on this game...
If it's possible, Brett, that photo's got to go on a shirt.
I know people.
I knew he was going to say that. I knew he was going to say that.
With the players, I just don't know about... if we can just make it, we can take a picture. We've got someone out that could put them on. I'll find out tomorrow if we can do it. I just don't know with all the players. If we donate the money to NIL or a portion of it, I think maybe we can make it work, which is what Malik said. But that's a great point. I've got to get the best image. Send me the best image you have of that one, okay?
I will. I don't think Canes football will mind it, like the media relations, as long as like it's a collaboration with the players that are inside.
If it is, that's the key. That's when we have no problem giving back.
So, Mondo, I want to tell you something though. So you know what made me believe that crazy thought that Miami could come back in that game? And I was telling you guys in the group chat, and they're trying to put me down and say, Gio, you're crazy. There's no way we're coming back in this game. No way. We're frauds and this and that. The Virginia Tech game was what made me have that belief the week before. That's the reason why I had that crazy thought. And I was thinking to myself, You go back to what Elijah Arroyo said after that Virginia Tech game when he knocked that guy down. You're talking about over 100 yards diagonal from across the field. And he said that there was no way we were going to lose this game. I was not going to allow it. That's the mentality that this team has, that they could be down multiple touchdowns, and they know in the back of their minds, no, we're still in this game. Miami teams of the past, they would lay down.
Correct.
I've
been saying for years, Canes players, when we played Florida State, when they were better, when they had Jameis and they had all those players in Cook, and I'd say we need a couple of Canes that'll say, no matter what, a guy on offense, a guy on defense, special teams, we will not lose this game. I mean, we know the Michael Irvins of the past or the Ed Reeds, obviously, we will not lose this game. And we've got plenty of players like that. I think the recency bias on your question, G, I'll just get it in there. I agree. This game could be the greatest comeback, okay? I thought the Nkosi Perry, I was right there. I thought it was unbelievable. The problem is we lost to Virginia next week, I think. Okay, I think we lost to Virginia the next week. I went up to that game, visited my son, watched the game, and we lost. So it's hard to say it's the greatest comeback when you lose the next game. In 1988, we were just the national champions the previous year, all right? And we didn't win a championship that year. We lost on the Cleveland Gary didn't fumble on that play, all right? And the Langham play was great, but in that play also, the Georgia Tech game that Malik threw that miracle pass and we got it, we were winning those games that you could think, well, we're not going to lose because look at the luck we're having. And then Pittsburgh happened, and then Wisconsin, and then it all went backwards for the program. But I think this play could be the best comeback because of where we're at. But I think it all depends on whether it leads us to the rest of the season. I think you have to look at the game, and you have to look at the season. But right now, we have so many players, from Arroyo to Restrepo to Cam to so many guys on defense. We've got. I looked at the Killer Bees, the Dolphins used to be called with Barrow and it was Barrow, Barron, Bryant, and Bain.
Yep, Bain.
I added Bryant. I didn't realize he had 1.5 sacks in there, Malik.
Yeah, going back to those triple Bs too, right? I think, I want to ask all y'all this, but I'll just go ahead and answer kind of my own question. Simeon Barrow has probably been one of the most productive players on this team. And it just seems like every single week he just kicks it into another gear. And I love the way he's been playing on the defensive line. He's one guy that's really stood out to me. I want to ask all you guys this before we transition back into recruiting. Give me your report card through halfway of this season. Give me your grade on offense, your grade on defense, and give me a player that you want to step up this second half of the season. We'll start with you, Mondo.
Well, the offense, obviously, when I see people posting online about 50 points a game and 580 yards, I mean, anything less than an A+. I mean, are you kidding me? It's been insanity. The offense has just been off the charts. Defense, obviously, we were happy with these big comeback wins. I will say last 2 games, we're starting to see some leaking in the secondary especially. So I don't know if it's sustainable to keep doing all these comebacks and putting all that pressure on your offense. You can't do it every single week and start facing better competition. So I think the defense in this bye week, it's critical to tighten up a bit.
So what's your grade on defense overall through 6 games? You said A+ for the offense through 6. What about the defense?
I'll give it right now. I'll go B. I'll give it a B.
A B. And give me a player. It doesn't matter if it's offense or defense. Give me a player you need to make that next step this second half of the season.
I'm sorry. Say that last part again. I got my kid going crazy.
Give me a player, whether it's offense or defense, you want to have that next step this second half of the season.
I'm going to go with I want to see more from the starting running back.
Okay.
Flat out.
Damian Martinez. I like it. And before I ask Cliff the same question, me and Brett, we were definitely in agreement on this watching the game. Mark Fletcher, needed a lot more opportunities to run, especially early on in the game. We were starting to establish that run early, and it was Mark Fletcher that every time he touched the ball, it seemed like he was getting 8 to 10 yards, right? And to your point with Damian Martinez, I mean, giving the off A+, which I almost agree with already through 6 games, and the fact that we haven't even established a great running game yet, and we got a guy in Cam Ward that hasn't even had an A+ game overall. I mean, that's telling you a lot right there of just the ceiling that we still have reached. So I love that. What about you, Cliff?
I'm gonna give the offense A+, like Mondo said, and I agree with the B. I would give them a little higher, but these last couple games they've got gassed. You know what I'm saying? I know the ranking, what you guys said, still 17 overall, which is solid. Don't get me wrong, but you take away 2 or 3 plays from each the Virginia Tech game and this past game versus Cal, and that ranking's probably in the top 10. You know what I'm saying? So I still got to give them a B. But one thing I wanted to add about what we were talking about before, if this was any other team in the country except for Miami, everyone would be like, they're almost these comebacks they've had have been unbelievable. But since it's Miami, it's the refs. They're cheating because the ACC wants them to be better. Bullshit. We came back 25 points. Don't say it's one play. It's 25-point lead you blew. And we came back and we fought. And if this was any other team in the country, they would be saying, "Oh, this team's amazing. This is destiny. This team, it's incredible what they're doing. CanesWear." But since it's Miami, everybody hates us, which makes me love us even more.
By the way, I love this comment right here. It says, "Gio, stop blocking the damn TV with your fat head. I'm trying to watch it." I got the whole Miami Cal game going on.
I know, that's awesome. That's awesome.
That's classic.
So
He's a big fan, Gio. He's a big fan.
Oh, and what's the other one, Brad? That I had to pick one offense or defensive player that has to step up.
Yeah, give me a player on the team that you need to step up the second half of the season.
I'm gonna have to say Sam Brown has to step up.
Good point.
I think, right now, if it's me, I would probably, maybe replace him with JoJo Trader and make JoJo Trader the 4th wide receiver. And you go with Horton. Obviously X is 1, then Horton, then you figure out the number 3, and I'd start playing JoJo more if this is how it's gonna be. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's trash or anything. I just think he needs to play better. He probably doesn't he lead the nations in drop passes or top couple? He's dropped at least 4, 5, 6 passes between 4 and 6. That has to be up there in the top 5 or 6, people.
Yeah.
So that's just what I'm saying. I thought he was going to be better than he was, but that's the guy that could step up. He has the talent. Maybe it's just focus. Maybe it's just whatever. That's the guy that I need to step up more.
And before Gio goes, people also got to realize now, I don't want to hurt people's feelings and all, but you got to remember, watching a guy like Jeremiah Smith right now as a true freshman, what he's doing, could you imagine, rewind the tape a little bit, and if Cam Ward makes a decision a little bit earlier and someone like Jeremiah Smith ends up being a Miami Hurricane, you don't go in the portal and get a Sam Brown. So now you're talking about Jeremiah Smith is doing what he's doing instead of the drop passes of Sam Brown, to your point. So, not to cut and get the orange and green to bleed deep, but Jeremiah Smith, and the young man from Alabama, those are 2 phenomenal freshmen right now that you would love to have. But we're doing great at wide receiver all in all.
It goes to show the freshmen can play.
Besides those 2 guys, those guys are like not human.
Yeah.
Xavier Estrepo to me is the 3rd best wide receiver in the country. I don't care what anybody says. He proved it last year. He proved it this year. Nope. His roommate is not the quarterback anymore.
Correct. All the people, you're right. All the people we heard from last year.
Like 3 or 4
he's throwing to him
his
best friend. He's throwing to him his best friend. He's the real deal. And in the bowl game last year when he had, who was the quarterback last year?
Jakari Brown was the quarterback. TVD was the quarterback. When Emory Williams was the quarterback, now with Cam. There's 4 different quarterbacks. The dude's
I've been saying that for several weeks. It's going to be really hard to keep him off the All-American teams.
Yep. Exactly.
Real hard.
Gio, what's your grade?
All right. So my grade, the Miami Hurricanes offense, A+.
Damn.
Lead the nation in points per game. Most yards per game. You have the best passing offense. The running game, despite the struggles of Damian Martinez, and I'll mention a little bit why he's struggling a bit. A lot of it has to do that when he played at Oregon State, he played a lot of under center, I formation, downhill running. A little bit of a learning curve for him playing out of the shotgun. But A+, 100% for the Miami offense. Defense, I will give a B, just like Mondo. I agree with you, Mondo. They came out really strong through those first 4 games. A lot of hiccups these last 2 games, some things they got to clean up. A lot of it is just mental errors, though. This is not just like that they don't have talent on that back end. There's a lot of issues going on in the secondary right now. Jaden Harris has been a little hit and miss. He's either been great or, I'm going to be honest, either really bad, one or the other from game to game. He has to become more consistent. He has the talent to be a star player in the secondary. He's really got to turn it up and focus as we get to this backstretch of the season. I will say, though, my exact player that I want to step up in this second half of the year, I will say, let's see here. I know Cliff mentioned Sam Brown. I'm going to say Josiah Trader. And the reason why Josiah Trader hasn't played much early on into the season, had a little bit of a shoulder issue that he was dealing with in fall camp. That's why you see him with a little arm brace going on right now, aside from the shooter sleeves that he's got going on. All these kids now, they wear all these crazy combinations on their arms and the leg sleeves and everything. Really fashionable now. But I think he is really key towards Miami really turning it up in the second half of the year. He was supposed to be a big part of the offense heading into the season. Unfortunately, the injury set him back. I think if he really gets going, Miami's got something seriously dangerous with that offense heading into a potential postseason appearance.
I like it.
Excellent points. Excellent points.
I would love that. Let me tell you.
Yeah,
I would say that obviously everyone thinks it's an A+. It's hard to give an A+, even though we're number 1 when you don't have the running game going like we want to.
Boy, you must be fun at parties, Brett.
Thank you. So, if I give it an A+, like everybody else, I'm saying we are running at full capacity. We are not running at full capacity. No pun intended with the running. Hello.
My daughter just joined. There she is.
The Canes football
There's our special guest. So no, it's hard to give an A+ when, even though we're number 1, we know we're not hitting our potential. Now, I don't know. What I would like to see is, obviously, I'd like to see Fletcher get more opportunities. I'd like to see, I don't understand that at all. I know they want to go with Dame, and they're going 3 backs. I mean, Fletcher's running like crazy, and on third down, they're putting in, 21. So I'd like to see Chris Johnson get a few more swings out of the backfield. I'd like to see him with his speed. You can see he's almost broken those kickoffs a couple of times. I'd like to see him get more opportunities, okay, in the short passing, just swinging the ball out with some screens, maybe even on a pitch. I mean, what happened to the pitch back? Do we not have a pitch back in the playbook, or do we only have an off-tackle run right up the middle? I mean, it's the only run. Every team, swing it out. You swing it out to Fletcher with a little bit of speed behind him, I mean, he's going to run somebody over. But every single play. Now, if you're blowing people off the line, it's great. And we wore them down. In the fourth quarter, we finally got our running game going. In the third quarter also. And that's real. We started to – it was the fourth quarter. We started getting some plays. Or was it against Virginia Tech, maybe? We got that going in the fourth quarter. But I just think instead of just handing the ball off the middle, let's do some sweeps, some pitchbacks, something with our backs. So I'd like to see Chris Johnson get the ball back. Of course, I'd like to see Damian Martinez. I thought he was better when he was the main back. And he's wearing teams down because he hits people so hard. And a lot of times running backs will get stronger as the game goes on. But now with this split backfield with, 3 or 4 guys, it's difficult. But Fletcher's got to get, more touches. There's no doubt. When you got a guy getting 9 to 10 yards a carry in the first half, he's got 9 for 90. You got to be giving him the ball. I thought if he got the ball 25 times, I kept saying, he'd have 200 yards easily in that game. And he wasn't going down on the first tackle. He was breaking tackles. So, the Martinez play was obviously phenomenal on the screen pass. That obviously got us down to the 4-yard line, which we were all sweating about, was Cam over the line or not. They're going to do something against us. But so I'd like to see the running game going better. So that's why I give it an A. An A plus minus maybe, because we're just off. We just need a better running game. The defense, I'm going to give a B plus right now, okay? Because you know what? They've done enough when they had to. In this game, it was really 4 or 5 bad plays, okay? It was 4 or 5 bad plays. They couldn't do the cutback. I thought we were outcoached. We made great. Whoever said, was it Brad or Gio that said we went from man to man to zone, or zone to man to man? Which one was it?
We went from man to zone in that second half.
On the play that Ott scored, which he shouldn't have scored, okay, but on that play was 3rd and 1, or was it 4th and 1? And they were going to do the tush play, right?
Mhm.
And then they called the timeout. We got back in the same exact defense, and they figured out a way just to go outside. So they outcoached us there. They shouldn't have got the touchdown, but they outcoached us there. So the coaches have to put the kids in a better position. There could have been some jet lag. I mean, that's a tough. You're playing at night. You're playing late. There could have been a lot of things, but when they had to, they made it happen. And it's hard for me to give a team that's 6-0. The defense held them. All right. And especially we held them on the last drive too, 4 and out. It was great when it was at 4 and out or 3 and out when Kiko intercepted that ball. So I'll give them a B+. I'd like to see more from Martinez. I'd like to see him give the ball more to Fletcher. I'd like to see him get some passes to Johnson a little bit. Let's see if he can do some things. On defense, I mean, Powell he looked amazing the first couple of games. He talks a lot. He's got to be better. He's got to be in better position. I think our front seven is doing great. Our linebackers they were probably the most disappointing on those cutbacks that they were out of place. But the secondary, which we thought could be the problem, is obviously the weakest link of the team. But if we're getting enough rush on the quarterback, that takes a lot of pressure off of our secondary. Mm-hmm. So that's key, I think. And I thought with Bain coming back, we would be, it would be a lot better. So I'm going to say the biggest player we need a defense from in the second half is Ruben Bain, not because of his performance, but because he's played so limited. So we're taking a good defense. We're bringing in probably the best player on our team if he's healthy right now that no one's really seen. So he is going to be the difference maker in the second half.
And he got a sack, and he got a tackle for a loss the first play that they ran.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's got to work himself back in
last year. Last year, he didn't have anyone. With Messidor, who's underrated as can be right now. Thank goodness they didn't call that targeting on him. With Messidor, with Barrow, I mean, with everybody we've got, Bain should be able to, if they can put Bain in the situation, he should be able to dominate. And if we start dominating with Bain, we can run the table.
I'll say this. You guys had some great names and great grades on the offense and the defense. We're getting closer to that hour to wrapping up this great episode with Gio and, of course, Cliff and Mondo and Brett and I. Before we wrap up and pick a special comment winner for the $25 gift card, I do want to wrap up and transition back into recruiting for a minute just to get a few more names out there, because I do know there's a lot of Cane fans, especially with me and Gio on, that want to get their recruiting fixed. And as y'all know, sometimes we get out-coached during games, but we will never get out-recruited with Mario Cristobal and the staff. And like we mentioned before, unless you're hiding under a rock these last few hours, we did flip Joshua Moore from Florida. Like Gio mentioned, Ben Hanks, Vernell Brown are our 2 Gator guys currently committed to watch out for. But another name I will say is Jalen Waters, Armwood corner. This is a young man that has started since a freshman in high school. He's played Dallas Wilson, I believe, 3 times in the matter of 3 years, and he's got less than 10 catches and only 1 touchdown. So having a phenomenal guy like Dallas Wilson, being able to lock him up, this is a guy that man-to-man coverage can really do it all, got great length. And again, you got to remember what high school he plays for, Armwood. You got a running back in Gerald Pringle already committed, and he may not be the only Armwood guy potentially in Miami Hurricane. You also got Kellen Wiley, linebacker that Miami's also looking at, and a transfer in Tyler Williams, who is obviously a Georgia lean right now, but make no mistake about it, this is a guy that Miami has prioritized from beginning to end. And you see now getting a guy like Joshua Moore at wide receiver room, we are not going to settle for undersized wide receivers anymore. If there's a big-time target out there with the size, measurables, and be able to go get that football, like a Moore, like a Tyler Williams, we're going to do just that. So look out for him. Also, Hayden Lowe, USC commit, defensive line. That's a guy that's definitely going to be a guy to watch till the end. Jason Taylor, he hasn't been able to land that guy yet in this class, but if we continue to win and that defense continues to perform, that's going to be a guy to look out for, along with Derry Norris and Jarquez Carter right here in my backyard in Newberry, who, as y'all know, is committed to Ohio State. And I think Gio, there's a tight end, I believe, that's going to be visiting the Duke game that's very important as well. 6'7" young man.
Yes, so he is that is Kendra Harrison, out of the North Carolina area. He actually doubles as a football and a basketball prospect that Miami has offered in both sports. He's top 30 in basketball. He's the #1 tight end in the country in the class of 2026. Miami's all in on him. He'll be visiting for the Duke game on November 2nd. So he is a year away. But as they say, Miami's tight end you. And Miami's using those tight ends again.
And I brought up him last because of this reason. You said he played football and basketball. Well, guess what, folks? You saw last year, Coach L finally got that big-time guy and Nigel Bethea last year's class. Well, this year, this week, on Thursday, you got a few guys to watch out for. First up is Ben Ahmad, center from Connecticut, I believe, committing on Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern. This is a big-time center that Miami is trying to land. He's going between Cincinnati, Xavier, and Miami, but I believe Miami will probably end up getting that commitment. And then, of course, the Boozer twins. I told you guys this a couple weeks back on this show. Watch out for the Boozer twins in the University of Miami. It's going to be a close battle between Duke. I believe they're going to be making the announcement on Thursday as well. I like Miami here.
All right. We hope so.
We
definitely need size. That's for sure. And you said if we get a center with size, the kid we got number 1 is, I think, 6'10". He's going to be the starter this year. But tough to go against those 7'3", 7'4" guys when we get late into the tournament. That's for sure. That's one thing where Coach L, I think, is we need to get it going. So that's important to us. Who else we got in recruiting? Anybody else? Who's the guy that decommitted from some, or he went ahead and retransitioned from 2026 to
Tony.
Okay, where's he?
So he's considering Alabama, Oregon, Florida State. Miami's still somewhat in the mix there too. I will share this. His mother has practically been at almost every Miami event. She loves the Miami coaching staff. I can't get too deep into the details, told some more deeper things there. I'll put it this way. Miami wanted him in the class. I came a little bit as a surprise when he backed out of the recruiting class. Just visited Alabama for that Alabama-Georgia game. Ironically enough, Alabama loses the next week. He'll be in the mix, but again, Miami's recruiting some big-time wide receivers. They're still after Jamie French. They're still after Derek Meadows, both 5 stars. Still after Dallas Wilson, Vernell Brown, a borderline 5-star, Tyler Williams. I can continue tossing names, but better lock up your spot because those spots are going to go by really quick. We got 7 weeks until signing date. Signing day has been moved up this year, December 4th. I'll be all over town in South Florida that day. It's going to be a lot going on. I expect some craziness for Miami on signing day.
That's so exciting because we'd have to wait to when? February always for the single sign. So, wow, December 4th. It's a big year. Elections, the signing period. We got the ACC championship. Isn't that about that time? Probably.
Yeah, that very same weekend. Signing days on that Wednesday, then ACC championship on Saturday.
We got the semifinals in the Orange Bowl. We'll hopefully be hosting somebody over there. We got a lot going on. So, Brad, before you pick somebody, I just want to say CanesWear, the spot, South Florida fan shop. We do have the Cam Ward jerseys, as Gio said. Which are awesome. We still got the orange, we've got the green, we got the black, we got the white, we got the orange kids coming in. You're correct, Gio, on that. But we do have those coming. Brad's been jonesing for one of those for a while. We've got those coming. Hopefully we'll have them by tomorrow or the next day. We've got tons of new polos in, lots of great t-shirts, a ton of hats are coming in, lots of kids items. So we're really getting stocked right now, which is great. Thankfully, we're 6-0. We got a bye week. We're at the halfway point. Of course, if you're a Panther fan, we got lots of Panther items as well. The Dolphins, who are 2-3 right now, still alive. And if you're a Dolphin fan, we've got plenty of Dolphin stuff as well. So Inter Miami, who could have maybe the greatest team ever in regular season history, get the most points. We got plenty of stuff in that. Not that anybody cares, but we got plenty of Messi jerseys and things like that. So we got you covered. If you're a South Florida fan, CanesWear is the place to be. I know, Brad, you've got something. You've got your daily podcast every day. Brad's going to be out there, different guests all over town. Catch him on the FTSN, the Fin Talk Sports Network. Gio, you've got something coming up. Tell us what you got as well going on every day.
Okay, so for the past couple of years, I've been doing a show that's about 3-4 times a week. Actually going to be moving to a daily schedule after the bye week. I am officially bringing on my first ever official co-host in Amon Richards. So we're going to be hosting that every day, talking about the team, talking about recruiting, just everything in general that's going on with the Miami Hurricanes. On top of that, you could always catch me on Comics on Canes. I got a weekly spot on there with Michael Yo. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm a little parched. Michael Yo, big time comedian, also big time Hurricanes fan. I was just on his show today. That'll be dropping tomorrow, from what I understand. Also got a weekly spot on 560 WQAM with Larry Bluestein, talking about the Canes games and just what's going on with recruiting for the Canes. Usually the spot falls on Monday evenings, Wednesday evenings. And you can also catch me on Locked On Canes sometimes too. I have some weekly spots on there as well. So a lot going on. I know you all see me on social media with the articles and the posts and basically everything that's going viral for the Canes. I'm pushing it all out.
She is like the Kirk Herbstreit of Canes football. I mean, he's all over the place. I know, Brad, you were on Locked On Canes. You were on 560. Everybody's doing the circuit, when you got special talents. And we're so blessed today. Mondo, Cliff, you guys were fantastic. Awesome, like usual. And great job. Thank you so much. Do you guys got anything to add before we pick the winner of the contest and a couple of last-minute things? Mondo, Cliff, what do you got to add about the team, the show? Where you're going to be this week? Are you going to be at the Hard Rock, Comedy Central? Where are you guys going to be this week?
Mondo.
Well, I think this Saturday you got Oregon against Ohio State. You got Ole Miss against LSU at the same time on 7:30. So
Penn State and USC.
Anything that I got to do at the house will be before 7:30 p.m. If they're hearing me here at the house right now, it's going to be pretty much a park your ass on the couch Saturday night, if you ask me.
Hey, I think the Canes football princess right there needs a Cam Ward jersey.
There you go, Canes. All right, sounds good. Sounds good. Put them up there.
And I just want to say I wish I had $1 off CanesWear every time that Brett texts me, Fletcher needs the ball more.
I would have never gotten that vibe from Brett's 17-minute diatribe about the running game.
It's funny. Because,
I got about 1,700 texts like that, so I wish I had that $1,700 off.
When we lost to Washington in 2000, I was screaming, we give the ball to Portis. Give the ball to Portis. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know what they were doing. They were going into James Jackson, I think, or so. Give the ball to Portis. Yep. And I've said that, and I remember with Highsmith, and you guys, like I say, weren't around probably, but in Cliff probably was in 1987. But and I'm saying, hand the ball to Highsmith, stop passing the ball. Little did I know Jimmy was saying, hand the ball to Highsmith too, but Vinny had his own plans.
Well, Brett, there's actually a funny story about that game that I learned from Don Solinger, the great Don Solinger, the greatest Miami Hurricanes running backs coach. And special teams coordinator ever that the program has ever seen.
Great high school coach too.
Yes, with Southridge. Oh, legendary South Florida. So he told a good buddy of mine back for that Washington game. So he was going back and forth with Butch Davis, and he puts in Clinton Portis in the Washington game, and he breaks off a large run. And right before that run, Butch is looking at Don Solinger saying, why the hell is Portis in the game? Put James Jackson back in. Portis breaks off a huge run, and Don Solinger looks at him and he says, well, do you want me to take him out now?
Portis was unbelievable that game. It was, and it showed obviously in the NFL too, but that was and the championship game against Nebraska. But yeah, that game, we go undefeated that season. We win that one. That 2000 team may have been better than the 2001 team. I go on record. We had Santana Moss. We had Reggie Wayne. We had Dan Morgan, who possibly the greatest defensive player ever in Miami history. So that 2000 team was special. And we did lose that game in Washington, who was a powerhouse also. But that team was special.
Yeah, but the last thing I want to say is we got the weather. I got the Weather Channel on.
Oh, that's right. Thank you, Mondo.
By watching all the last few games, we got Canes fans nationwide and all that, and definitely I saw Malik tweet. Malik lives in Tampa, and by watching this on TV, this is a pretty scary thing. So to the Canes fans that live in central and west part of the state, because I think down here in the south part of the state we're going to be fine, I believe. But prayers up for real, because this thing looks like a massive monster headed that way. So
yeah, be safe.
Thinking about the people up there. Yeah,
absolutely. Our prayers are to them. It's a scary situation. Back-to-back hurricanes for that Tampa area. They haven't even cleaned that area up, and it's pretty sad. So, natural disasters. It's great to live in Florida, but that's one of the negatives. What else we got, Brad? You close us out here, Brad. Gino, you got anything else? But first of all, thank you, Gino, for coming to the show. We appreciate it. This has been an awesome experience having you. You're invited anytime you want to be on the show. Cliff Mondo, you know the skill. You're invited all the time.
Stop blocking the TV, Gio. Stop blocking the TV.
I know, Gio. What the heck is going on? Is that right? Is that the targeting play or no? It's not the. He's still looking at there. So, Brad, what do you got?
No, I believe that was a pass interference play at the goal line. I think.
Okay, it's 11
in the background, but so yeah, we got to pick out a special winner here in the comments. Let me see. There's a lot of good comments in here. One person in particular has been interacting a lot, and he doesn't even have a profile picture. Let's go with Daniel Smith. Daniel Smith, if you have a Twitter, hit me or Brett up on Canes. What is it? _CanesWear, right?
No, Canes underscore where?
Canes _wear on Twitter, or you can hit me up on Tejeda Brad if you can't hit us up on one of those. Find another way to get in contact with us. But you got a $25 gift card tonight. Make sure you get you a Cam Ward jersey or anything orange and green, or of course if you're a Dolphin or a Florida Panther fan, they got that stuff as well. But yeah, like you said, Brett, great show again as always. We do this every Tuesday night. Make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button for us, and of course, as always, Gio doing great stuff not only on this platform but all his other platforms. And Mondo, Cliff, some of the best Miami Hurricane fans around, man. Shout out to you guys as well, and all the fans.
I love this.
Have been tuning in.
To you guys. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, definitely special pleasure getting everybody together.
Usually I try to toe the line in the reporter world, but since this is the CanesWear podcast, I think everyone's figured out at this point that I'm a Canes fan. Go Canes.
There you go.
Really? Wow. Do we have a consensus, all 5 people?
Yeah.
I'm still seeing this sometimes. I got to say, okay, we have to have a class, I think. Turn this into this, okay?
Bro, Mondo's daughter does it better than half the ones I see on TV.
I taught her, man. I taught her. She started
raising them the right way.
Yep.
There you go.
So, guys, listen to us. Like and subscribe. Check out Brad every single day. Check out Gio every day. Check out the Selfie God on Twitter and Uncle Cliff as well. And come on into CanesWear. Everybody be safe, no matter where you're at. It's a scary world at times, but just love your neighbor. Go ahead, take care. Make it a better place by just making people smile, making their lives better. If we help each other out, it makes the world a lot better. So, and support your Canes.
Go Canes, baby.
Go Canes. Thank you very much, guys.
It's a no.
Yo, let's go.